Done. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sisi Radha Madhava ki jai, Sisi Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Charja Shodhara Shri Srimad is Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Charja Shodhara Shri Srimad is Divine Grace. Shri Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. ISKCON Foundercharya, BBT Foundercharya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Jagaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Sankishan Prabhu, can I bother you to get the next volume? It continues into chapter 22. Sanatana Goswami. I have the old printing. So this morning we're starting a new chapter in our lives, right? 20. We're starting a new chapter in our lives. I did say that. Dynasty of Pūru, as they say in New Zealand. The dynasty. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, I'll read the chapter summary, chapter 20. This chapter describes the history of Pūru and his descendant Dushmanta. The son of Pūru was Janamejaya, and his son was Prachinvan. The sons and grandsons in the line of Prachinvan, one after another, were Pravira, Manushu, Charupad, Sudhu, Badugava, Samyati, Ahamyati, and Raudrashva. Raudrashva had 10 sons, Riteyu, Kaksheyu, Santileyu, Kriteyuka, Jaleyu, Sananteyu, Dharmeyu, Satyeyu, Brateyu, and Vanyayu. So what's this? This U at the end, because they all got the same U's. Does anyone know what that Sanskrit, what that is all about? Is it a form of endearment or something? Or okay. The son of Rityeyu was Ratinava, who had 3 sons, Sumati, Dhruva, and Apratirata. The son of Apratirata was Kanva, and Kanva's son was Medhatiti. The sons of Medhatiti, headed by Prakshana, were all Brahmanas. The son of Ratinava, named Sumati, had a son named Rabi, and his son was Dushmanta. While hunting in the forest, another one of these kings hunting in the forest stories, just like the last chapter, right? While hunting in the forest, Dushmanta once approached the ashram of Maharshi Kanva, where he saw an extremely beautiful woman and became attracted to her. That woman was the daughter of Vishwamitra, and her name was Sakuntala. Her mother was Menaka, who had left her in the forest, errant Apsara, where Kanva Muni found her. Kanva Muni brought her to his ashram, where he raised and maintained her. When Sakuntala accepted Maharaj Dushmanta as her husband, he married her according to the Gandharva Vidhi. That means a real quick wedding. Just exchange of garlands, pretty much. Will you marry me? Yes. Will you marry me? Yes. Let's go. They call them Vegas weddings now, right? In this part of the world. Shakunta later became pregnant by her husband, who left her in the ashram of Kanva Muni and returned to his kingdom. Okay. In due course of time, Sakuntala gave birth to a Vaishnav son. But Dushmanta, having returned to his capital, forgot what had taken place. This is a king with a short-term memory. Okay. Therefore, when Sakuntala approached him, that happens sometimes, also, do you know you're a father? He's like, uh-oh. Like that. Therefore, when Shakuntala approached him with her newly born child, Maharaj Dushmanta refused to accept them as his wife and son. Later, however, after a mysterious omen, probably from the father-in-law, you better look after my daughter. The king accepted them. After Maharaj Dushmanta's death, Bharat, the son of Sakuntala, was enthroned. He performed many great sacrifices in which he gave great riches and charity to the Brahmanas. This chapter ends by describing the birth of Bharadwaja, and how Maharaj Bharat accepted Bharadwaja as his son. Okay, so text 1. Shri Bharanarayani Aruvacha Puror vamsam pravakshyami yatra jato asi bharata yatra rajashayo vamsya brahma vamsyas cha jagnire Shri Bharananayir uvacha Purovamsam pravakshyami yatra jatosi bharata excuse me yatra rajashayo vamsya brahma vamsyascha jagnire Shri Bharananayir uvacha Nayanir uvacha Puravamsam pravakshyami Yatra jatosi bharata Yatra rajashayo vamsya Brahma vamsyascha jagnire. Anyone like to chant? Is that it? Anyone online?
How about forgiveness? You can do it.
Shri Bhadrayaniruvacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Purorvansham pravakshami Yatra jatos Shri Bharata
Yatra jato si bharata
Yatra rajashayo vangsya
Yatra rajashayo vamsya
Brahma vangshascha chakire
Brahma vamsyascha jangyare. Shri Bhadarayani Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Pūru Vamsam, the dynasty of Maharaj Pūru. Pravakshami, now I shall narrate. Yatra, in which dynasty? Jataha, Asi, you were born. Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit, descendant of Maharaj Bharata. Yatra, in which dynasty? Raja Rishaya. All the kings were saintly. Vamsyaha, one after another. Brahma Vamsyaha, many Brahmana dynasties. Cha, also, Jagnire, grew up. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, descendant of Maharaj Bharata, I shall now describe the dynasty of Pūru, in which you were born, in which many saintly kings appeared, and from which many dynasties of brahmanas began. Purport. There are many historical instances by which we can understand that from Kshatriyas many brahmanas have been born, and that from brahmanas many Kshatriyas have been born. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 13th verse, Chaturvayamayashrishtam guna karma vibhagasaha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. Therefore, regardless of the family in which one takes birth, when one is qualified with the symptoms of a particular section, he is to be described accordingly. Yal lakshanam proktam. One's place in the varna divisions of society is determined according to one's symptoms or qualities. This is maintained everywhere in the śāstra. Birth is a secondary consideration. The first consideration is one's qualities and activities. Om Agyantimirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chaksulunminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasindhu bhavacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your ardent prayers, best wishes, I'll try to say a few words. First thing I'd like to say is, could someone open that door a little bit? Let some air in here. Cool air. So this point Prabhupada is making over and over and over again throughout his preaching about the caste system, if you like, and what varnashram really is dependent upon. And of course, this verse in the Bhagavad Gita he would quote the most to back this up, when Krishna himself says that he's the one who created these different orders of life. Chatur, varna, the four varnas, and guna karma vibhagasa. They're supposed to be categorized by a person's guna, qualities in their work. That's how you tell different divisions in society. Whether a person is an intellectual or an administrator, political administrator, a warrior, or a business person, or an artisan and servant of the rest of society, which is the greatest number of people in society. Saying all chiefs and no Indians, you heard that expression before? All chiefs and no Indians, everyone thinks they're in charge. But actually, usually it's like this. You have someone in charge, and then it goes down, and then most of the people are followers, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, whether it's in a political arrangement or in a business, and you have someone in charge, and then, what do you call it, middle management? Middle management. And then everyone else. And that's natural. Really, it's natural if you think about it. Just like, what would Balaram do if everyone tomorrow wanted to be the temple president with him? He'd go to India? This is my chance to get out of here. Not only to have one person who wants to be the president, everyone wants to be the president. I'm out of here. Sannyas, here I come. No, but I mean, it's quite a unnatural and imaginary situation. Even if everyone was qualified, you just don't do that. Someone's got to be in charge and telling what people do. And actually, most people don't want to be in charge. Because in charge means you have to accept on your shoulders a lot of burden to take care of everything and everyone. And there are certain people who love that. They actually love to do that. It's their nature to just be in charge and this and that, that's got to happen, and this, you got to do this. And you think, wow, that's amazing. But they're into it. They just love to do it. Whereas above that, you have the brahmanas, intellectuals, like that. They have a derogatory term now, sort of. I don't know, is it derogatory to call someone a nerd anymore? Or is it actually a compliment? Okay. But people are very brainy and intellectual, you know. But you have people like that. They're very, what's the word, cerebral? It's all like that. They're very, or let's say Manishina, thoughtful. Let's turn into some positive side to it. Very, very thoughtful about things. Philosophically inclined, theologically inclined. You know, they're thinking, what's really going on here? They think before they act. That's a good one, isn't it? Right? And rare. So, and there are people like that. And there's others that, man, it's just like, wow, they have a good understanding. These TED Talks. I was in the hospital last night, and this nurse who took care of my wife before, his name's Todd, quite a talker. And he, for a few minutes, he was telling us the whole story of the nursing industry now and how they're, unfortunately, this is part we're going to bring up, is that nurses are the #1 trusted occupation in this country, maybe the world. People trust nurses. Doctors are like 5 or 6. And then you got lawyers who like, I can tell you a few lawyer jokes later on during breakfast if you like, just some fun ones. But, people trust lawyers, and, but nurses are actually the #1. But, and if you go to the hospital, the nurses are usually the one who take care of you and so on. The doctor comes in and checks the thing and says a few things, the nurses take care of everything. And, but he said there's a push now, unfortunately, amongst nurses due to wanting more respect, or as much respect as the doctors, to up the bar. And now nurses will have to get a 4-year degree. He says it's creating a lot of problems because he said, if you think about it, there are a lot of single parents, moms or this or that, who just 2 years of college can become a nurse and make a 6-figure income and take care of their family and their kids and so on. But that's going to stop if they're required to go now and get 4 years. And the only reason is that because false ego. He didn't say false ego. He just said because they want more respect, as much respect as the doctors. Because in that field, nurses are not respected so much. And that's why many nurses have a union now, just so they can have someone represent them for pay and so on. Are they going to get paid more? Hopefully, maybe. I mean, now you have those different gradations now. Like my daughter Tulsi is the one who went through 4 years, so she gets paid a lot more than someone who went to community college. But still, even at that entry level, you can make a very good living. But what he said when he finished, he goes, okay, there's your TED Talk. There was a Todd TED Talk, right, like that. I should have said that to him. I wasn't thinking, so it was kind of like 11:30 at night. But so there are people, the TED Talks. They're very, they have a lot of information and so on. They have these TED Talks on different subject matters and so on. There's a few years ago, Radhanath Maharaj was giving TED Talks and so on, if you saw those recordings and so on. So you have that class, and people are amazed. Like, people write books about things and have these podcasts, and they're very thoughtful people, intellectual. They may be going in the wrong direction, but they're still intellectual and thoughtful and so on. And then you have the managerial class we talked about. Then you have business class. And they just love making money. They just, like Prabhupada said, they just know how to, it's like pull it out of the air, right? There's that saying about, in India, maybe you heard this saying before, that if you get two or more South Indians together, they build a temple. 2 Gujaratis or more together, they'll start a business. And 2 Bengalis or more together, they start a revolution. So Gujaratis, we have so many Gujaratis in our community. They're like really good at business. They just like boom, boom. Every time they turn around, it's just like Dharnadarpa who retired, but now he's in business again. He just can't stop. And whatever he touches, he just, money's there, money's there. They just know how to make money. And other people can't, they don't know where it all went. Right? People say, wait a second, I don't know where it all went. I had money and now it's all gone. So there's different classes of people. So you want someone like that to run your business. They just know exactly how to make the money and turn a profit and so on. And then you got the rest of us, most of the people, they serve the higher classes with their skills. They're not unskilled. They're artisans and craftspeople and, service industry and so on. And they're quite happy to do that and be remunerated, and that's fine. And there's really no reason to, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Well, because of envy, there's, what's the word? You think someone's lower than you. Superiority and so on, and exploitation and so on, and all things like that. That's the problem. In fact, Todd, who gave the TED Talk, said he grew up in North Park when he was a kid, and his family had to move to Rancho Bernardo. And he said it wasn't very happy because he was from a poorer family and they didn't fit in because everyone else had a BMW or a Mercedes, which they got from their parents, when they got married and so on. So you got all these, and so the people the neighbors would look at him probably had an old Ford or something in their driveway or something. His father didn't make that much money. But you could feel the snootiness of the neighborhood. So he never liked Rancho Bernardo growing up. So that's there. People feel superior and so on. But the examples given, there's a verse there in the Purusha Sukta about Brahmano, right? The Brahman's the head, Kshatriyas are the arms, Vaishyas are the stomach, and the legs are the Sudras. Now, on your body, all of those are very important, right? Every single one of them is important. If you lose your head, well, that's really not, you can't do anything, but still, you need your arms to do things, you need your belly to digest the food and give you strength, and you need your legs to carry you. So there's no fighting. It's actually, if you just work in harmony, the body works very well. And also, if you have this different castes or divisions work in harmony, then the social body works very nicely. Everyone's taking care of each other. They need each other, so why, if you need each other, why not take care of each other? But due to envy, and because there's envy, then there's all kinds of problems. The Prabhupada quotes the famous story from the Panchatantra about Udari, what is it called? Yeah, the strike. All the senses go on strike. They don't want to give the stomach any food anymore. That stomach, I think fat stomach's eating everything, and we don't get anything. Did you see that rasgulla go down that throat? Did you see that nice khichdi and curry sauce? Did you see Balaram's nice pizza go down there? We don't get any of it. The stomach gets everything. We're out of here. I'm stopping. That's it. I'm not working anymore. Working so hard to give the stomach everything. We're stopping. So they stopped. And then after a few days, it's like no one had any energy and just like, this is not working out. So they had a emergency meeting. Sometimes there's an emergency meeting. So in an emergency meeting, they said, this is not working. I think we're supposed to give everything to the stomach. So as soon as they started feeding the stomach again, all of their energy and they came back to life. So that's just the way it is. So anyways, we got off on these different tangents. But Prabhupada brings us up, it's not by birth. Now in our society, God bless America, in our modern day, not just America, the idea of having by birth is really not, it's there to some extent. Very, very, you come from a very rich family, something's expected of you, or some, what do you call it, privileges are there. Of course, it's because you have a lot of money, you're buying those privileges, but in general, people don't think like that. And for better, for worse, it's wide open. What do you want to be when you grow up? They ask you that question starting in, I don't know, maybe they start asking you that in kindergarten these days, but they start asking you that question in high school, when we were in high school back in ancient days, the guidance counselor. You had a guidance counselor when you went to school. One day, oh, what do you think? You have to start thinking about what you want to be. And what university you want to go. And of course, you could pick anything you wanted to be. And that's a problem. Why is it a problem? It's because people's minds are agitated and they may not be in touch with actually who they are. And people try so many different things against their nature. And that's why, statistically, it's either in the 80s or 90 percentile of people are unhappy with their jobs. Do you know anyone who's ever unhappy with their job? Were you ever unhappy with any of your jobs? Okay. People aren't. Why? Because it's not according to their nature. They're doing something they really shouldn't be doing. And maybe it's because of money. Sometimes you talk to people who make a lot of money in their profession and so on. The only reason they're doing it is to make money. They don't even like what they're doing. But they make a lot of money. But that's not a good enough reason. One should be feel very happy and satisfied and worthwhile in whatever their occupation is. And that's going to be if you do it according to your nature. If it's not your nature, you're just not happy. You're just not happy. And that's your varna or your ashram. So it's very, very important and that's why it says the spiritual master and the parents and so on at a very early age, and astrologers, they would get a good idea about what your varna will be in life, and then send you in that direction. Because you can waste a lot of time going in the wrong direction. Has anyone done that in their life? Spent a lot of time just going in the wrong direction. I remember we were on travel in Sankirtan once out of Boston, and I wasn't driving because I wasn't old enough to drive, but I did drive sometimes. But I remember, I think it was Sadashiva was driving, and Naranjana Maharaj, he was a Maharaj at the time, he was Sankirtan leader, and we're driving, it was a red van, big red van. I remember going to upstate New York or something. And then I remember and then realized that we had been going in the wrong direction for a few hours. Sadashiva took the wrong turn. And Naranjana got a little upset. He said, Prabhu, I don't remember the exact words, but we had to turn around and go back. So you can't go in the wrong direction for quite some time, like maybe a few million lifetimes. Like that one, it's time to turn around. So let's not do that. That's the point being made here. And that's why society is organized and people, like I said, parents and your spiritual master and relatives, different people would say, I think you should, what you want to be. It's an interesting story. It's puja somewhere after a wedding or something. And, a lot of Indian folks are doctors. In fact, I think it was 60% of the doctors in this country are from India. But anyways, interesting story. They're talking about, he mentioned his brother or something's daughter. So it was the uncle. He was visiting. And, they're always talking about what you want to be when you grow up. And usually the kids say, IT, medicine. But anyways, the point he made is his niece was like 5 or 6 years old, asked her what she wanted to be. Not only did she want to be a doctor, she knew exactly what field of medicine she was going to go into. I want to be a doctor when I grow up, internal medicine. She was like 5 or 6 years old. And guess what? That's what she did. She had it. She knew it, So sometimes that happens. She just took birth in a family of doctors, and that's the reason for that karma, and she did it. So, but to actually know what you want, what your nature is, and to follow it, you'll actually be quite happy. And that's one of the symptoms of a good Sudra, and there's nothing derogatory about that statement whatsoever, is they're content. They're just content doing what they do. They're not thinking, it's like, what's that saying about the shoes wanting to be like the crown? If that's not who you are, and that's the downfall of democracy and leveling the playing field. We don't want to level the playing field as far as one's responsibilities, but we do want everyone to be respectful to each other and non-envious. See, that's the thing. It's the changing of the heart. And I was thinking that when Todd was giving his TED Talk about the nurses and how they feel, and the doctors, how they feel, and this and that. The whole problem is in the heart. No matter what adjustment you make as far as your salary or your educational level, this or that, they're all going to be unhappy because they have lust, anger, and greed in their hearts. Not going to change anything. It really isn't going to change a thing. It's just not going to change it because those things are still in the heart. So to the extent those things are removed from the heart, all the members of society get along. And therefore we say it doesn't really even matter what social system you follow. You could be a flag-flying communist. Has anyone checked his room to see what kind of flags he has hanging? He could be, red as they come, red, right? Or you could be, Democrat or Republican. You could be into what are the forms of government? Dictatorship. Right? You could be like, yeah, let's be a dictatorship, or whatever it is. Monarchy. It doesn't matter what it is. If the people are non-envious, actually it worked pretty well. It worked pretty well. The whole problem is people keep changing all these things because of the shortcomings in people and their hearts and so on. So, in fact, they say the best type of government is benign monarchy. But where can you find a qualified monarch these days? They don't trust anyone. Why do you think they have an election every 4 years? It's damage control, right? I was going to make a political joke, but I won't, about the situation today in the world. How much, you're trying to find out, how much damage can you do in 4 years? Well, I guess who's trying to find that out now? But they tried, okay, we'll just stop after 4 years and let's reassess this and elect someone else, so you can be elected again if you're doing okay. But don't trust anyone, What will you do if you have more than 4 years? Oh, heaven help us. So, my goodness, it's already 8:31. Okay. The thing is, we can end with this point. Now, we don't worry so much about our birth. Sign up. Raise your hand if you've been born in a Malecha Yavana family. Is anything less than that? I forgot Chandala. Okay, Malecha Yavana, Chandala, like that. Pancha. What do they call it? Pancha. Fifth pancha, or fifth, it's out of varnashram. We're out of varnashram. Okay? So I guess we can be envious of people. Oh, you're a Malecha, I'm just a Chandala, because there's a gradation there, right, also. So we're not really concerned about that. But there are externals that we have to be careful about, Maybe I'm proud I'm an American. Or I'm white. It's funny, I was at Atma Tattva came here many years ago, because he spoke at Chintamani's classroom when she was in 5th grade. But he made the observation, maybe it was his first time visiting San Diego, he made the observation, it was in the summertime, and he went to the beach. And he came back and he said, it's quite interesting that you white people, you're always what's the word? Prejudice against dark people, but you're all down there trying to get your skin dark. So what's this all about? You don't like dark people, but everyone's on the beach trying to darken their skin. So trying to figure it out. So maybe we think we're superior externally because of the color of our skin. Or we were born in America. Oh, greatest country in the world, so I'm an American. Different things like that. But we have to be very, very careful about these externals. And then also, even in devotional service, we think, well, my appearance. I have a nice dhoti, or I have a nice position, or this or that, all these different things. But Krishna is saying here, your position in life is determined by our gunas and our guna karma. What's actually our guna in our heart, what are our qualities and our actions. That's how you judge a person. Isn't there a saying, actions speak louder than words? What does that mean? Actions speak louder than words. Have you ever heard that expression before? Do you know what it means? Okay. Talk is cheap. But what does that actually mean? Your actions are loud,
It means example speaks louder than precept.
Yeah. No, we can say all kinds of things, but hey, it's like what you're really doing. That's what counts. So our actions and our qualities, that's what's most important. That's what we have to develop. So we have to be very careful not to, what is it called? Kali Chela? Is that a Bhakti expression? You know, that in Kali Yuga, he said, there will be Vaishnava, they have the Kunti Mala, they dress like a devotees, but they're all servants of Kali, right? Like that, so be very careful. You're looking at one right now. You never know who. Do you want to hear an amazing you never know who story about a devotee? I just heard this, and apparently it's true. But Indradumna Maharaj, in the early days especially, his preaching in Poland and Russia and all that was creating some waves with the government. Anyways, he had this one person join, and actually they hired him as a bodyguard. He was you know the story, ex-KGB? Apparently he was ex-KGB. And he was like a bodyguard for Maharaj and so on. And then he actually became a devotee. He actually became initiated and married a nice devotee and had a family and everything. And of course, for years and years and years, he traveled with Maharaj. And he had a gun. And Maharaj, you know, it was quite interesting. They went to like Russian countries. He just pulled out this badge and they just waved him through. And then after a few years, he just disappeared. And it turns out he was actually a plant by the KGB to keep an eye on Maharaj to see what was going on. But no one knew. I mean, he got initiated. He learned how to, he did all the things devotees, he got married, had devotee kids and all that, little kids, and then just disappeared. It was undercover. No one knew. Just no one knew. Pretty interesting, huh? So, what was going on in his heart? He just had that job. We had someone like that here also as a plant from a news station. No, I don't know. I don't know about Naveen. I was worried about Naveen, you know. Those two brothers, I don't know about. But yeah, you're really brothers? I don't know. But yeah, he was here for a few weeks back in the 80s. Were you here at that time? Or before you? It was a young man. He joined the temple, shaved his head and became a devotee. It was actually a plant from a local news, and they did a whole expose because he was with the devotees, wanted to find out about the change up on Sankirtan and what we did and this and that. And then he was here for a few weeks and then went back and spilled all the beans. You know, they did a horrible story on the movement, you know, very, very slanted and so on. But it's interesting, he came back weeks after that with Maharaj and apologized. He said, you're the nicest people I've ever met and this and that. I really feel bad, but that was my job and whatever. But no one knew. Just kind of moved in and shaved up and dancing and chanting and this and that and his rounds, sitting, you know, but you just never know. So it's quite interesting. But the point is that guna karma vibhagasa, that's what we really have to work on. We don't have time, but I was going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana Goswami. He tells what are the qualities of the devotees, you know, the 26 qualities of devotees and many other qualities. Well, we'll end with this. There's all these different qualities of devotees. Many, many years ago, how old are you? 25. So when you were, what year were you born? Okay. It was probably around 2001. I asked Radhanath Maharaj this question. You know, there's so many qualities. He was here visiting, so many different qualities. But what are the three main qualities we should be trying to develop? What are the main qualities things we should be focusing on? You know what he said? One, are chanting purely. Two, service to the Vaishnavas. And three, jivadoy, mercy to the conditioned souls. So those are three things to really focus on. Chanting, all right, how good is our chanting? Japa, kirtans, the purity. Always serving the Vaishnavas, and jivadoy, being very kind and merciful to the conditioned souls. Those are the three. Yes. I mean, yeah, it's not he made that up. Yeah. So that's very, very important. And I asked Vaisheshekha Prabhu the same thing, and he gave the same answer. So it's a quote. So we can end here. Are there any questions or comments on the class or anything else? Everyone's super satisfied because you're all Brahminical, just satisfied. The microphone, because this is probably very good. Pradyumna is a cornucopia of stories and wisdom. He should be sitting here giving class.
When I was living in Texas, I used to travel back and forth between where I lived and the Dallas temple. I had done it dozens of times. And one time I was driving back from the temple, and all of a sudden, nothing looked familiar. I thought, what's going on here? And then I realized I was going in the wrong direction. But had I gone in the right direction, there was a big dust storm and a 40-car pileup in the middle of the road, so I missed the whole thing by going in the wrong direction. Krishna's arrangement.
So you actually went in the right direction.
Yeah. So going in the wrong direction might not always be a bad thing.
Right. Okay.
We have something if there's time.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. It's Maitreya Das.
Maitreya, Hare Krishna.
Hi, Bill. As usual, you gave a very thought-provoking class, and so I have a list of questions, but I've edited to just a couple. I just wanted to say also Haribol to Pradyumna Prabhu. After we parted ways, I didn't know what happened to you, and I've wondered and prayed and worried about you for decades. And when I saw you yesterday during the class, I was ecstatic.
I'm still wondering what happened to me.
Anyway, Hare Krishna. So I had a couple. One was the idea of work and varna, and how the system is set up so that we can pursue what's in our psychophysical auspicious nature and do the right work. But it's a weird twist that can sometimes happen in demoniac countries. Like I grew up with a father who was a doctor, thought I would go into medicine. When I got in my pre-med program, I started to realize, they're testing on animals. And the more I found out, the more horrified I became. I realized I left in horror, in tears, fell into a funk, became depressed, contemplated suicide. It was going to be worship or suicide. And fortunately, by Krishna's grace, I found out about the evening program at the San Diego temple. And so I came for that and accepted eventually Dharmasetu Pūru as my varṇa pradarshika guru, and got to associate with great souls like Pradyumna. So reversals in the life of a devotee are always auspicious. Krishna you have something, your heart set on something, everything's going to be just fine, it's all going to work out. And then Krishna pulls out the rug, and it looks like the most inauspicious thing. But as Pradyumna just pointed out, sometimes going in the wrong direction, Krishna is actually saving you. So that was that. And
very good point.
I had a question. You mentioned the qualities of a devotee, and we know that by chanting, our natural spiritual nature becomes revealed by associating with Krishna's holy name, and the qualities develop. But at the same time, they're listed, and we're meant to pay attention to them. Is it like tending a garden?
Okay, that's a good question, because it says automatically these develop. In fact, there's one verse in what I was going to read that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami that devotees, by cultivating Krishna consciousness, they actually get all the qualities of Krishna. Of course, quality, not quantitatively. In other words, become completely spiritualized by the process of devotional service. But it's not that we just wait around and sooner or later I'll develop all these good qualities. We have to actually be aware of them and catch ourselves when we're going off, and make a conscious effort to be humble, to be compassionate, to be, meet the book, watch how much we eat, all these different things. So we have to be conscientious, but it is true in due course of time, because this is the natural quality of the soul, these things will be automatic. But right now they're not. So it's a combination of sincerely applying ourselves, taking the medicine, but we do need to be conscientious. You can't use that as an excuse. Well, Prabhu, I'm not that advanced. In due course of time, I'll have all the good qualities. But for now, blah, 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 blah. I just offended you. Don't worry about it. In due course of time, I'll be better. So you can't do that. We have to be conscientious of our behavior and make an endeavor. So I hope that helps. Dravida Prabhu has something to add. Does he have a microphone for Dravida Prabhu? Are we on one mic today? It's budget cuts because of the war, or what?
So just about the four varnas, and what they're actually emanating from different parts of the universal form. That had the verse Mukha Bahuru Pade Byak. This is 11.5.22, 11.5.2. 11th canto, 5th chapter. Mukha is obviously the face, and Bahu is obviously the arm. Now the Uru is officially the thighs. thighs,
Okay.
and part of it is the feet.
Feet.
So, but somehow we got, it seems more natural that the vaishyas are the stomach, because they grow food and everything like that. Because if you have the thighs and the legs, Prabhupada would sometimes, quite often, use the word legs
Right.
to mean feet.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Because if you're gonna have thighs and legs, it's redundant. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we should end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.